Hello and welcome to Successful Writers Community. Just wanted to say a really good welcome to multi-best-selling author Ashleyemma and life coach. Just wanted to talk to her for about 20 minutes or so and just go through several questions. I've also got a few questions that some of the people from my group also would like to talk to you about, which I'm quite excited about doing. So we're going to talk about what we've been up to, what you're doing, and also, things to help fellow authors. So if you'd just like to cut straight into it, and just like to ask you to tell yourself, to talk to me about a few things about yourself, what you've been doing, how to get into being an author and life coach.
I just do coaching for authors basically. But yeah, but mostly I've been doing it's mostly being an author. I do coaching on the side a little bit. And I publish for authors too, like aspiring authors. But I first got into writing when I was a kid, and I wrote my first book when I was 12. Then I got into self publishing and published it when I was 16, but I didn't make that much. I made a little bit, actually. It was pretty good for a teen making their own book covers. I think I'd make like $50 a month or sometimes 100, which was exciting for me. And then I got into I took a few courses 3 years ago and started taking it seriously. I took all my books down off of Amazon and have been relaunching them one by one. So people always say, like, how do you get books out so fast? A lot of them I wrote a long time ago. Like the one I just published the other day, I wrote that 8 years ago. And I'm just now publishing it in a weird order, out of order, kind of. But yeah, so it started a long time ago when I was a kid. I just liked reading, and then I decided I wanted to write. And I used to write fantasy, and now I write Amish romance and suspense.
How many books have you written and published?
I have 16 published right now, but I have 3 fantasy novels that I have not published yet because it's very competitive and my audience would not like them. My audience just likes Amish books, and I even tried publishing one of my fantasy, young adult book, and no one bought it. So I'm like, okay, I need to obviously make a pen name. Not a pen name, I'm just going to add my middle initial. Derek Depker said if you add your middle initial, it differentiates it enough to show you have 2 different genres, but when you search for one name, they both show up, which is a interesting tip I didn't know. So I'm going to later on, once I get really established in this genre now, I will branch out and do my fantasy ones also. So that's a whole other subject. So right now I do have 16 out, and some of them are novellas, but I've written probably more like 20. I just need to get them out. So
Well, where'd you get your ideas from?
I don't know. I just think of things sometimes. Sometimes I have bizarre dreams, and then I'm like, oh, that'd be an interesting book idea, and then it kind of changes. I don't really know. They just come to me, which sounds stupid, but I just think of things. I have a weird imagination, and most of it has to do with crime. So if you ever looked at my search history, I go to a crime writing conference every year, and we always joke that if the government saw our search history, that they would think we were like serial killers because we look up like how to escape from a trunk or how to poison somebody. We just So, but my brother-in-law is a police officer, and he helps me a lot with the crime research part of it. So at least I have him to help me make sure it's all realistic. But yeah, I don't know. I just think of things, I guess.
A bit like me, just appear from everywhere.
Yeah.
How long each day do you write?
Oh, I don't even write every day. I used to. Now I have 3 kids, so I actually kind of feel like writing is more like 10% of it, and then I would say like almost half is what I do for my clients. I do a lot more. I want to transition eventually and do more of my own, but my own stuff is on the back burner for now. But um, I try to write, at least a few times a week, like a few hours a week. But like I said, a lot of my books have already been written, so a lot of it is editing, actually, and rewriting. So stuff I had written a long time ago, I try to improve it because it was a while ago. Um, but yeah, and a lot of it is marketing. I feel like marketing is like the number one thing that takes up all my time. So yeah.
How much percentage wise would you say sort of for marketing? 70, 80% now?
Kind of like almost half is marketing, half is working for my clients, and then a little bit on the side is writing my own stuff. But I would like to eventually put my own work as a priority. But I think maybe this winter I'll get there. I mean, it's definitely going in that direction right now. This past summer, when I published the third book in my series, my royalties doubled for all books. Because people, when they see a third book in the series, they go back and they buy all of them. And people always told me, like Nick Stevenson says, when your third book comes out, you're going to see a big increase in sales. I think it was him. Might have been Derek Depker. I can't remember. But a lot of people say that. And it's totally true. Once my third book came out, it took off and it's been high ever since. And now I really feel like I can put a lot more time into it. So I am transitioning gradually. Sorry, my pipes, I'm in my utility closet. My pipes might run every now and then. But yeah. So.
I've got a dog in the background. I'm sure we'll start barking in a bit. So have you ever had writer's block?
Had what?
Have you ever had writer's block?
Royalties drop? Is that what you said?
No, a writer's block.
Oh, writer's block. Oh, sorry. It was cutting out. Yeah. Well, maybe it was more like procrastination. Whenever I get a book back from my beta reader, who actually she lives in London, and she's very harsh and very detail oriented. Basically, when I get my book back from her, she's like the first person who reads it after my rough draft is done, and she tells me what to work on. Whenever I get it back from her, it's just notes all the way through the book telling me what to fix, and I just look at it and I'm like, that's a lot of work. And I just sometimes have to like take almost a week off and just read through it and just think about it and come back to it and be like, okay, this is what I gotta fix. And I try to hammer it out as fast as I can because I know if I don't do it all right away, I will put it off. It's just, that's like the hardest stage is right after the retro. Well, for me, a lot of it is the crime stuff, like this wouldn't be realistic, or, you know, plot things that I have to end up changing. It's just a lot of rewriting. That's usually the hardest part for me. And then once that's over, the editing, the proofreading gets a little easier. The proofreading is the quickest part. But yeah, it's usually then where I try to put it off. I shouldn't though.
I would say, because the next question was about procrastination. I would say, have you got any sort of good tips to help people with that? You know, obviously you say you hit things straight away usually.
Well, I try to. It's because I know, like, even my client who I coach, she says, once I get the momentum going, I can work 2 days straight, no problem. But once I start to lose momentum, I don't come back for a while. So basically, yeah, if I have something I know I need to work on, I might take a little of a break before just so I can think about it. And then I try to get it all done. Because once you get into the middle of it and then you take a day or two off, you kind of almost forget where you were. And then you have to take a while to get back into it. So it's better to just try to do all the way through. Kind of like at the end of summer break, you know, you go back to school and you felt like you had to relearn everything. It's kind of like that. It's not that long of a break, but even just a few days can sometimes make my momentum go way down. And so I just try to, once I start, I try to just finish it as soon as I can. And then, of course, once I get my cover done, that's a really big motivator for me because I guess I'm a visual person. But once I see the cover, I get really excited about it. And sometimes I'll even put the book on pre-order just to give me a deadline. So, and Amazon finally just now switched it where they would only used to let you go 3 months out, and now you can go out way more. So that was always hard to estimate, like, how many months will I need? Like, 3 is not that much time. You think it is, but it's not. Sometimes it'll take you longer. But if you put the book on pre-order for a year in advance or 6 months in advance, you can always make the date sooner, but not later. So put it on pre-order. That'll give you a good deadline. Then you really feel motivated to finish it. And people will ask you, when's it coming out? So yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, that's a really good tip. That is to say something that I do, and when I do my books, I make sure that with it before I've even written a word, I've done the cover and I've got it in my manuscript. So each time I open it up in the morning, it's there in front of my face, and that gives me that inspiration because I'm very much like that. That keeps me motivated. That's what I'm heading towards.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's what I just told my client the other day. She's like, I haven't worked on my book in a month, and I'm like, go get your cover done. That's what I told her. She's like, okay, I hope that'll help. This is her first book, so we'll see. But yeah.
What's the biggest mistake you see authors make, and how do you think they should overcome it?
Ooh, I think the biggest one is it happens all the time with my clients. They think, oh, I don't need to make not so much a website. I don't really care about the website very much. I care mostly about the landing page for them to build their email list. They think it doesn't matter. And so they'll publish their book and launch it with no way for people to join their email list. And I try to tell them, please just go make a landing page. I don't even care if it looks terrible, just so I can put a link in there, because otherwise you're going to miss out on all these subscribers during your launch. And they're like, oh, it's fine. I'll do it next time. And, oh, I just say, well, you're going to have to get it reformatted because it throws off the page count. And, you know, so just do it right from the beginning. You can always go back and make your landing page look better later, or you can make your free the free gift that you give people, like a free PDF or whatever. You can change that later. It's You just have to have something in the beginning just so that people can join your list and then you know, buy your books later on. Like when I launched my first book, I think I had 100 people on my email list. And it was like all friends and family who I begged to join. And they're probably all unsubscribed now. I don't care. But now I have 13,000 people, and that was 3 years ago. And I think a lot of it was just from putting um, the link to your landing page in the beginning and the end of all my books. And that just grew. And then I did other things like book funnel, which no one talks about, by the way. Book funnel is the best way to grow your email list, I think. But just having something, you just have to have something. You can make it better later. But sorry, go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, so I totally agree with that.
Mm.
Key thing for me is building an email list and making sure you've got some sort of like thing where someone who loves your book, particularly at the end. I find just after the end part, pick it up
Right.
and then download it and then have a sort of like a system where you get the people on board. But yeah, book funnel. I say I'll waffle on about this in my group. I'm a sporum, but I say book funnel is fantastic, and I think that's one of the best ones. Story origins is really good as well, and obviously that's an up and coming thing, which is very similar, more towards fiction, but authors. But story origins is pretty good, and that's a similar sort of thing to what book funnel is. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
it's
I
a
should do
story.
that. Story Origins? Okay, I've never heard of that. Yeah, I just got into Book Funnel maybe no, it's been more than that, like 4 or 5 months ago. And I did a lot of promos right when I started. And I got 3,000 new email subscribers in like 3 months. And just yesterday, I was like, wow, I haven't done one in a while. I really should do one. And I happened to go look in my genre, and I did probably 9 or 10 promos. I just signed up for a ton of them and set up my email. I just do it right away because you have to share with your email list on a certain date, you know, when the books are free. I just set that up right away so I don't forget. And I think I did 9 or 10. I'm like, hopefully my email list doesn't get annoyed with all these free books I'll be sending them, because I mean they love it. It's fine. But now they do sales promos too, which is great. That's kind of new, I think. I don't know if you knew that, where you can put your book as discounted on Amazon, and you do a collab with other books in your genre. Also, another thing is you can have them email you when promos in your genre are started. So instead of you going through and checking them all, they'll just alert you. So I've been doing a lot more because of that. It doesn't take that long, and I get a lot of email subscribers from it. So it's definitely worth doing. I had no idea about it until just a few months ago. I love it, and I feel like no one talks about it. It's very underrated. It's a really good tool. Yeah.
Fantastic. And also you can set it up so that you can earn money on your websites as well. So that's something that I think is quite a great thing. You get 97% royalties from it, which is, I think, it's a really great way of earning money from your things. So something I push quite a bit on with people, but obviously you need the people to come over to your website to start off with. But yeah,
Oh wow! You mean
so
like you can put book funnel on your website?
you can put book funnel and they buy it, and then they can choose whether it's Kobo or whatever, and they they pay for it. So you actually earn more money from it than what you would do on Amazon or whatever. So
Is
it's
it?
quite cool.
Oh, okay. Do you have to be out of Kindle Unlimited to do that? I'm
Yeah,
guessing. Yeah. Oh, all my books are in Kindle Unlimited, except for like my free ones. I have a few free ones. Oh, I guess I'm missing out on that. But I really like Kindle Unlimited. All my books, pretty much all of them, are in that. Oh wow, that's interesting. Okay.
Um, who is your biggest inspiration?
I've got a few. Well, I will tell you who the person who basically convinced me to self-publish was Stacy Claflin. She's an author. I always talk about her. She writes a lot of different genres, which is not that. I've only seen a few people be able to do that. She writes like sweet romance, horror, mermaid books, and paranormal or something like that. And probably vampires, who knows. She just writes all these genres, and I think she does it all under one name. And I'm like, how do you sell all these different topics to, I don't know. But anyway, I emailed her years ago, probably 3 or 4 years ago, right before I decided to actually take self-publishing seriously. And I said, who's your publisher and who does your covers? And she's like, I'm an indie author. I do everything myself. And I couldn't believe it. And she's a USA Today bestselling author. She's very successful, way beyond me. And I just told her a little bit about all my ideas and all the books I wanted to write. She's like, don't even bother with traditional publishing. You should self-publish. And she convinced me. And I'm so glad that I did. I even dedicated one of my books to her. But yeah, she's really great. I don't know how she does all those genres. And then I do have a friend who he has all these books that are ghost written and like hundreds and hundreds, and he makes a really great income from that. And I mean, I don't know if I would ever do that, but it just showed me how much you really can make self-publishing. And I have a lot of friends who are making probably 6 figures a year from it, and it's like just motivates me to keep going. And I have like a 2-year plan to get to 10K a month. Think I can do it in 10 years. Nick Stevenson was just saying, he made a video. He said once you have 10 books in a series, that's when you make a lot. He didn't say exactly how much, but he said try to do 10 or 15 books in a series. And I think that sounds really realistic because I have 3 books in my series. And I think if I had 10, I would get there. So they're outlined. We'll see. We'll see how far I can get. But yeah, it sounds like a good plan. I think that sounds realistic. So yeah.
Yeah,
That's my
I
goal.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's say, obviously, you put answered most of this, but you've published your books on Amazon. Have you sort of done anything else? Obviously, KDB print, but anything paperback? You use Ingram Spark, for example. Um, what other things, other avenues have you done?
I've done, yeah, most of it really is on Amazon with the KB Select. But with my paperbacks, yeah, I do have them on Ingram Spark. I just list them on there. I don't really do much with it. I do have what is it called? A lifetime membership to Library Bub, Alinka's program. She sends out books to libraries for you, and I have a lifetime subscription. And actually, I need to resubmit my books because their system was updating or something. But basically, what it does is they have a big email list of libraries, and they submit your books to like 2,000 libraries at once or something. And it's libraries who have asked to hear recommendations. So other than that, I don't really do much paperback marketing because I I really mostly specialize in marketing ebooks. It's kind of hard to market paperbacks because they cost more, and it's a lot easier to market ebooks. So that's about it. I mean, I don't have my books on the other retail sites because I can't keep track of that many things. Just like Amazon. So it's kind of simple, but yeah, I just figured I don't want to spread myself too thin, and most of my royalties come from pages read, so I don't really even think about switching, going wide. I just keep it right in KP Select, except for I think I have 4 books that are free, and actually I get a lot of leads from those. I get new readers from the perma free books. Actually, I noticed a big increase in my sales when I put out more free books, which is kind of weird, but I think that it was like a free sample and people read them and bought my other ones. So people always say, "Why do you have so many that are free?" It works for me. So yeah,
Yes, yeah.
yeah.
Let's say, what other sort of formats have you got? Obviously, we talked about paperback, but do you do audio? Have you got any hardback books? What other sort of things have you got?
Actually, yeah, I do have only 2 audiobooks for Undercover Amish and Amish Under Fire. They're the 2 first books in my Amish series. I actually have an agent for those, and she sold them to Tantor Media. So they actually just passed on the 3rd book though, which I was bummed about. But yeah, they might look at it again later. I don't really know much about audiobooks. I will admit that. So I was happy when she sold those for me because I wasn't gonna go hire a narrator and produce myself. I don't know how to do that. Ebooks are my thing, and paperback. Sorry, I don't have any hardcover books or anything. Yeah, so I just have those, and that's it. Hopefully, in the future, now that I have book 4 out, maybe they would consider it again. But we'll see. So, yeah.
Yeah, fingers crossed for you.
Yeah. And actually, that agent, she found me, which is very, very backwards. But she saw one of my books on Amazon and said, "Hey, can I represent you for the audiobook version?" And I have rights to everything else. She just has the rights to, they have the rights to the audiobook. I can do whatever I want with the ebook. So you never know. Someone might see your book on Amazon and approach you and offer you something for it. So,
So how have you grown your business?
you mean the books specifically?
Yeah.
Um,
Good books and obviously your life coaching as well.
yeah, for the coaching, mostly when people hire me, they want me to do it for them. I do a little bit of coaching, but 99% of the time they say, I don't want to learn how. I just want to write, and you can do it for me. So, and that's fine. I'm happy to do that. But that I have never done marketing for or advertising for. It's all like word of mouth. People will recommend people to me, or they'll find my book, Fearless Author, which is about marketing on Amazon, and they'll find me that way. Most of my clients come through self-publishing school, which is funny. They'll just see me on there, click me, and I guess I'm on their Rolodex. I don't know. So I haven't done much to get clients that way. They just keep coming, which is great. And then for my books, honestly, it's just the more books I put out, the more I make, and people will tell you that. But really, it's with each book that I publish, my royalties will go up for all of them in the series. So it used to be I would make like a small amount per book, and then I put my second one out and it would go up, and then my third one went up again. And this year alone, it's quadrupled so far, which is great. So this year has been the year where I've really seen progress. Sometimes you just like work so much for so long for 2 or 3 years, and then finally I get my third one out, and then the fourth, and now it's really really gone up. So people love series, and if you have a series, I think that's what makes me the most money for sure, is just putting out more books and Amazon ads and Facebook ads and my email list for sure. I have a big list. Well, big for me anyway. 13,000. It's getting there. So that's really it. If you can build your list, do ads, and you can even learn how to do your own ads if you wanted to. Like we were just talking about Mark Dawson's Amazon ads course
Mm.
and Facebook ads, and then there's lots of courses on Facebook ads for authors. I'm just not good at it. I hire someone for my Amazon ads, and then my husband does my Facebook ads. So that takes something off my plate. Yeah. So those are the biggest factors, I think, for sure, for me.
So obviously we've discussed this already, but how have you grown your email list? Obviously you talked about Book Funnel, and you've said that you've now got 13,000 email subscribers, which is absolutely fantastic. So how have you grown it? Is it just been Book Funnel, or have you done other things to sort of like grow that? And obviously you said about lead magnet in your books too.
Yeah, well, most people give away one book for free. I give away four. And I don't know, well, I just started doing that this past year. I originally used to give away books that weren't even the genre I was writing. Like, what was I thinking? I have no idea. And then I switched it to three books that were three different genres. Like, I was giving away the checklist for my nonfiction books, which my list doesn't, I have two lists. One is my nonfiction list, which is only 1,000, and then my main list, which is the Amish, is like 13,000. So they don't whatsoever cross over. So someone told me, that person who is doing so well with all the hundreds of books said, it's too confusing for people. You have to give away a book that is in the genre that you want them to read. So for example, for my Amish list, I didn't realize I should separate it. So I have one for my nonfiction and one for my Amish, and it was all together, and that was too confusing. And then once I made them separate, it really started to grow. And then once I put out ebooks for free that were something that they really wanted, like I ended up switching it to a prequel to the series that I have. I made a prequel for that series, which you can't get anywhere else. It's not on Amazon. It was selling well, and he said, take that down and go put it on your website and give it away for free. And I was like, what? It's selling. He said, then people will want it. And once I did that, it was hard, but I took it down. I put it on my site. Once I did that, I think I got a lot more subscribers. And then I started to give away some Amish coloring book pages, which is kind of interesting. And then two other Amish short stories. So they're all the Amish genre, and that worked really well. It's a lot, but you can just do one or two. It's fine. But that really helped once I finally figured out what they wanted. And then the other thing I did for a long time was the Ryan Z promotions. Have you ever heard of him? It's
Yeah,
R.
yeah.
It's just RYANZEE.com, and they do. It's kind of like Book Funnel, except you have to pay. So it's like $60 per. It's called like a sweepstakes where you enter in with like 40 or so other authors, and one person wins all the books, and you just give them your PDF, and it's easy. I used to get like 500 to 1,500 new email subscribers for each one, which is not bad for $60. And then once I found Book Funnel, I kind of quit Ryan Z, and I do him every now and then. It's really good if you're just starting out. But with Book Funnel, it is more work because you have to do it all yourself. But it costs less because I think it's $150 a year or something like that. I don't remember whatever level you get. But a lot of my subscribers came from Ryan Z for sure. It's a good site if you want to check it out. So I would say the biggest factor was finally figuring out what they wanted for free, then doing Ryan Z, and then Book Funnel, I think. And I also have a few Facebook ads for my email list too, but I just do like $2 a day on that or something. It's not that much. But I think Book Funnel is the biggest contributor, really. So that's probably what it is. Mm-hmm.
It's a Ryan Z, I think, is just for fiction, isn't he? If memory serves me right.
They just started doing nonfiction, but it's not that much yet. I think they're gonna do more of it in the future. But same thing for Book Funnel. There's not that much for nonfiction, really. I wish there was, but someone mentioned something to me the other day. Was it King Sumo or something? Is that what it? I can't remember. But there's another one like it that does more nonfiction. Maybe Story Origins does nonfiction. Do they do that? Do you know? Or,
More fiction.
it's more fiction. Yeah.
Story Origins is more.
Oh, that's a bummer. Yeah, because a lot of my clients write nonfiction, and I don't know what to tell them for that, But I think they'll branch out in the future. I think they're going to do more nonfiction, so that would be better if they did that.
Yeah. What has been your biggest challenge of being an author?
Once I had kids, it got a lot harder. I used to write all the time. I would, like, when I was in high school, I would come home from school and just write for hours. Then I started working, and I would come home from work and write for hours. And then I had kids, and I'm like, I can't do that anymore. Luckily, I did get a lot done before I had my kids, or else I don't know if I could have done it after I had kids. But luckily, 2 out of 3 of them still nap for like 3 hours a day. So I nap. I nap. Yeah. I work when they nap, and then at night after they go to bed. I wish I napped when they napped. No, but yeah. So I can usually get at least 2 or 3 hours of work done a day, and I'm fine with that. For this stage of life, I'm fine with that. I don't work 8 hours a day. I wish I could sometimes, but every now and then I will leave for an entire day and go to a coffee shop and work for like 8 or 10 hours while my husband watches the kids. And I just made this office over Easter weekend, and now I can come down here and just like not listen to what's going on upstairs and finally get work done. For the longest time, I would say, I don't have any room in my house for an office. I do. It's a closet. But if you can just make an office and turn off all the noise, that really helps, because I'm the kind of person where if I work anywhere near them and they trip and fall and start crying, I run out. I'm like, what's going on? My husband's like, go work. It's fine. Don't worry about them. But yeah, so if you can just cut out the distractions or just go somewhere else for the day, like a coffee shop, change up the scenery, that really helps. So yeah, if you just get rid of distraction, that really helps. Even if you don't procrastinate, sometimes it's just you have to leave for a while. So that helps.
Good advice. Yeah. So what would the advice you'd give to other authors, knowing what you know now, if you were starting off?
I think definitely try to build your email list as soon as you can and make it better later. And then not to be afraid of marketing. I think a lot of authors just don't want to deal with marketing. And that was me at first, and now I actually love it. That's like mostly what I do, I feel like. So if you can try to learn Facebook ads or Amazon ads, or be willing to hire someone, I mean, you really have to have it. Well, unless you have a huge following. You kind of need those. And then to don't think that your book has to be completely perfect before publishing it. Like, definitely have it edited at least 3 times, or proofread and edited 2 or 3 times for sure, because we almost have to be more careful of that than traditionally published books, because if anyone sees a typo in a self-published book, a 1-star review. So try to make sure it's edited really, really well. And I know it costs a lot, but trust me, it's worth it. And then covers need to be good. I think a lot of people think that self-published books don't have good covers. You can make your book look like it's not self-published. Not that it's a bad thing, but you don't want people to look at it and be like, oh, that's self-published. Which, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like a stigma, but I think people are definitely getting past that. It used to be frowned upon, now it's definitely not. As long as we just make sure we're making our books the best they can be before they're out. But also don't dwell on it for 3 years and be like, oh, it's not perfect yet. Like, there's just a fine balance between that. So yeah, definitely have a good cover, good title, do your keyword research, your category research. You can have 10 categories. Not a lot of people know that on Amazon. There's just a lot of things you can do to make sure that your book gets more exposure and that it looks really professional. So I think that's the most important thing. But really, building a following is important. It's just a lot of authors don't want to deal with it. But unfortunately, that's part of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, the worst part of it for some people. And say, just going on to advertisement, what are the best sites that you'd suggest to market their books?
I don't really use websites. I mean, I do the sites where you submit your book to all the sites. What are they called? The book blogs that host the free books, like Awesome Game, or what's it called? Awesome Gang, Book Goodies, Free Booksy, or something like that. The software I use, though, I don't remember what they're called because I don't actually submit to them. I use KDROI. It's a software that you get and you put it in your browser. I can't remember the man who makes it, but if you just Google KDROI, you install that into your browser, and then anytime you want, you can click it. It fills in all your information for free for that book, and then you just submit it to all the sites at once. It's like 30 sites. It would take you 2 or 3 hours to do it by yourself. I think it's like $60 if I remember it. I got it a long time ago. It's definitely worth it. I use it all the time. And then you can submit it to sites for 99 cents if you want to do a 99-cent promotion. So they do make you wait a period of time. I think it's like a month. I'm not sure. In between. So you can't do it like every week, but you can do it enough where if your sales start to go down a little bit, I just did it today. I just set up 2 free promotions and 2 99-cent promotions for my series. And that should bring sales right back up. I mean, I've done it so many times, it always works. So you can do that, like if your sales start to drop, and then check your ads and make sure they're not too high for your cost per click, and just make sure you can tweak your keywords. I'm not very good with the Facebook ads, but I know there's things you can do to bring your cost back down. So that's mostly what I do is Amazon ads, Facebook ads, and then those promotions. And that's a lot of what I do, really. And then the library submissions too, but that's for paperback. So yeah, that just helps. There's always things you can do to bring your sales back up. So
that's great advice, especially around getting promotions when your sales are starting to drop, because people don't sort of look into that. You can have another promotion again, just because it was 99 cents 2 or 3 months ago. You can kick it back in, or 6 months down down the road. It doesn't matter. Or you want to do an anniversary, whatever. Still use it to kick it back in again. You're surprised. But one of the ones I think is really good is Free Booksy. I think you mentioned it already, especially when free books. That's the most powerful one outside BookBub feature deals. For me, it's been absolutely fantastic.
Okay,
And they do kind of.
Yeah, I always forget that they do paid promotions. Like you can pay to have your book featured at the top, and I honestly never think about that. I should do that more. But what's another one? eBooks Butterfly or Books Butterfly, or Butterfly Books or something.
Yeah.
Something like that. That's a good one. I've used that in the past a lot. And another thing you can do is once you do have your email list going, you can offer an incentive for people to go buy your book, which is not against Amazon's rules. You can't buy reviews. You can get people to go buy your book. So you can say, I'm giving away like an Amazon gift card for the first 50. You get entered to win if you go buy my book today, or something like that. You can incentivize people. With BookFunnel, you can give away free advanced reader copies to get reviews. So they go sign up
Yep.
and they get a free PDF, and then you say, please leave a review within 3 weeks or whatever. I got 90 reviews for my third book doing that within like a month. It worked really well. And I didn't even incentivize them. I don't think. No, I just said, please go. Here's a free copy. Go leave a review. And they did. So that works really good. But I do have a pretty big list. So don't expect that many if you have 100 people. Not 90 out of 100 will do it for sure. Maybe half will do it, if that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's another thing you can do is just make sure you follow Amazon's rules. Do not, they will catch you. If you try to buy reviews from people or anything like that, they will catch you and they'll penalize you. So make sure you follow the rules. Just check, because if you tell them, oh, I didn't know, they're not going to care. So make sure you definitely check that.
They can be very draconian. If you cross the line, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
They'll hammer you hard.
Yeah.
Don't care who you are.
Because one time I had a big scare. What was it? 2 years ago, I hired a marketer on Fiverr who was doing something illegal, and now I can't. Oh, he was getting me pages read on Amazon, so it would make my page reads go way up, and it showed me online I was going to make a lot of money, and I was like, this is great. So I just kept hiring to do it over and over, and then it was about a 2 month delay because Amazon doesn't really check things right away. They're just delayed. So they finally saw it, and by then I'd been doing it for 2 months. And they said, we're taking all your books down off Amazon to investigate this. They said, you have a legitimate downloads and pages read. And I'm like, I had no idea what was going on. And then I realized it must be this guy I've been marketing. Anyway, he got taken down off of Fiverr. He got in big trouble. And I actually had to explain to the owner of Amazon, it got that bad. I was like, please put my books back up. I had no idea. And I just like begged him. And he's like, I'll talk to my assistant. And that day he put them back up, which was nice. But I mean, he didn't do it. His assistant did. But I had no idea legitimately that this guy was doing something wrong. So you just got to be careful who you hire if it's somebody on Fiverr or something like that, because that was like the worst week of my life. I thought that they weren't going to put my books back up. I even had a book on pre-order. And when they took it down, it triggered the system to email my entire list and say, this book has been unpublished. And people were freaking out. Like, what happened? It was a mess. It was a disaster. So I know from experience, just make sure you know who you're hiring. Use someone that's reputable, like, one of those sites. You're not going to get in trouble with them. So just do something safe. And that was awful. And hope no one ever has to go through that. So, yeah.
Yes, I remember that in the SPS as well. As I say, it's good advice and a good experience for other people that don't. Fiverr is notorious for it. There's some really great people out there. Don't get me wrong. There's a few that are a little bit unscrupulous, and just be careful. And if it is too good to be true, sometimes it might be.
Yeah.
So you just have to be careful. So it's great advice.
I should actually mention that to them. Oh, I think at the time they knew what was going on, but it's been a few years now. For the new people, I should let them know. There are really great people I use on Fiverr. One person is, the username is Uncarved, and then their newsletter is Shifted Sheets. Have you ever heard of them? Yeah, that's a good one. If they just have an email list, and they will send out all kinds of different genres, really, to their list, and they can also get people to sign up to review your book too, which is great. And I've used it a lot of times, and it never had any problems. So that's a good one that I can think of. I can't really think of any others, but I don't do much on Fiverr as I used to. But there's some good people on there. You just also, I would say check reviews, but that person I hired who was doing the illegal stuff had good reviews. I don't know how. I mean, I had left him good reviews because I was so excited, and then I got in trouble. So it could be like reviews of people who have not gotten in trouble yet. So, but he's taken down right now. But you just got to do your research and make sure it's all legitimate before you pay somebody to do something for your book. So.
Yeah. You have to be careful sometimes, but I say it's one of those things. If they've done it that well, they're hiding what actually they're doing, and you're not to know that at all. Mm-hmm. So just to be careful. Mm-hmm. Anything else you'd like to say to the viewers?
I think that's it. Don't be surprised if it takes you a few years to see much progress. It would kind of be like up and down for me. Like it would spike and then go down. Like for the first 3 years, I had a book put in Prime Reading 2 summers ago, and then it went way up, and I got so excited, and then it went down again. It just happens. I feel like you have to have a few books out in a series. It depends on your genre. It might just be my genre, but I had to have a few books out. Um, the other thing was I had all these short books I kept putting out, and I wasn't seeing much of a increase in sales. That's why I made them free or 99 cents. I know other people who can do that and they make a lot, but for some reason my audience doesn't like them. It just depends on what your audience likes. You kind of almost have to figure out what they like from you, and then once you see what's working, do a lot more like that. It's, and then it might take you a while, but I think most people give up before they reach the point of it snowballing. Once it snowballs, it just keeps going. Also, I feel like once you make your first $1,000 a month, that's when it really starts to take off. I've heard a few other people say that because, like for me, it did. Once I was consistently making 1,000, I would have a few months. It would go up and down. But don't give up before you get there. It's like, why would you put in a year of work and then be like, this isn't working? Like, just like, just stick it out a little longer. And I have 3 kids and I don't have that much time I can put into it, so that might be why it took me a while. But yeah, I think it just takes a while, like with anything worthwhile. So that's what I would say.
No, that's brilliant to say. The tipping point is, I've heard that as well. 1,000 is a
Oh,
tipping
okay.
point a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that
And
makes
I think
sense. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. And then you can actually afford your ads at that point. I feel like
yeah.
half of what I make goes to my ads. Yeah, I know that's hard too when you have to pay for ads up front, and Amazon doesn't pay you for it's 2 months delayed. You're getting 2 months ago's paycheck, but that was hard too. But you just once you get there, it gets easier. So yeah, that's the other thing. But yeah, that's all my
Yeah.
advice left.
Let's say, and how can our community contact you?
My website is ashleyemmaauthor.com. ASHLEYEMMA. That is my last name, by the way. Author.com. And my email is amishbookwriter@gmail.com. So either one of those. I answer email pretty quickly. Or on Facebook. You can Facebook me. It's just Ashley Emma. So yeah.
I should put the link in the comments as well so that they can sort of click on you. And I did it on the build up to this as well, so quite a few people should be able to sort of click it before that.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Some great advice and loads of stuff for my viewers and for the people out there to digest and help with. And thank you very much for doing it, Ashley. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, this was great.